Hello, welcome to the World News on the Papyrus TV Africa. First, the headlines. U.S. consumer confidence fail as job market shows signal of fatigue. South African rand strengthens on global rates. U.S. government shutdown deepens. Africom target ISIS and Al-Shabaab network. RSF captures El Fasa as Darfur descends into new humanitarian crisis. Now the news in detail. Consumer sentiment in the United States drops to a 6-month low in October 2025, according to the Conference Board. The headline index slides to 94.6 from a reverse 95.6 in September, signaling mounting concerns about household, about job availability, inflation, and economic direction. The decline was most pronounced among younger adults under 35 and older group 55 plus, while middle-aged respondents 35 to 54 reportedly slightly improved sentiment. A notable divergence emerged. Consumer earning 75 US per year. Consumers earning under $75,000 per year reportedly sharply weakened confidence, while some earning above $200,000 remain relatively upbeat, reinforcing economic talk of a K-shaped economy. Many write-in responses cited high prices, inflation, worries, and ongoing political uncertainty, including the federal government shutdown, as the key concern. The shift in mood has implications for policymakers, with the federal government shutdown ongoing and data release curtailed. The vacuum of reliable economic signaling compounds uncertainty. Analysts said the downward trend in confidence could strengthen argument for an imminent rate cut by the Federal Reserve, currently expected to trim its benchmark interest rate in its upcoming meeting. The market watchers caution that consumer sentiment matters because consumption drives 70% of the U.S. GDP. Erosion in spending may ripple into slower growth, weaker corporate earnings, and market corrections. While major corporate earnings remain strong and market near record levels, the connect between sentiment and market raises questions about sustainability. For U.S. households, this all means a more cautious spending environment ahead, fewer big-ticket purchases, worries about job prospects, and sensitivity to inflation and tariff as the holiday season approaches. The South African rand edged higher on 29 October 2025, buoyed by investors' optimism that global monetary policy may be loosening and by speculation that the country might exit the Financial Action Task Force (FATF) grey list. However, analysts caution that domestic structural issues remain a drag on sustained currency strength. In trading, the rand appreciated as much as 0.6% against the US dollars, while the top 40 equity index rose modestly. The improvement was supported by the weakening dollar strength, better risk sentiment towards emerging markets, and expectation of a U.S. Federal Reserve rate cut in medium term. Investors' attention is also focused on South Africa's inflation outlook and its regulatory status with the FATF. The country currently sits under enhanced monitoring for anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing framework. Formal removal from the grey list is expected to boost investors' confidence and reduce premium on emerging market exposures. Despite the positive signal, market watchers warn that the rand's long-term trajectory depends heavily on domestic governance, public finance, inflation control, and structural growth. South Africa's heavy reliance on commodities, low growth, and challenging fiscal environment means that global tailwinds may only provide temporary relief if local fundamentals do not improve. In sum, while the rand's recent rally reflects improved sentiment, the underlying economic story remains mixed. For South Africa to convert this moment into sustained gains, policymakers will need to harness the favorable external backdrops and tighten the internal level of macroeconomic stability. As the U.S. federal government shutdown enters its fourth week, the closure is extending beyond symbolic furlough into critical data gaps and employment disruption, with far-reaching implications for market, policy making, and federal workers. The shutdown began on the 1st October 2025 when Congress failed to pass appropriation bill. The shutdown began on the 1st October 2025 when Congress failed to pass appropriation bill for fiscal year 2025. Around 900,000 federal employees have been furloughed and an additional 2 million deemed expected. Continuous working without pay. The judiciary, for the first time in nearly 30 years, has been forced to begin furloughing employees as non-essentials. Funds were exhausted. One of the most immediate consequences has been the suspension of key economic data release, including jobs, inflation, manufacturing, and trade figures. At a time when markets and policymakers are watching for signs of fiscal and growth stress, analysts warn that without timely data, financial and monetary decisions may be impaired, further intensifying the pressure. The administration has frozen $26 billion in federal funding to democratic-led states, including transit and green energy projects, a move described by critics as politically motivated. The combination of furloughs, public service disruption, and budgeting uncertainty is raising questions about how much longer the impasse can last. With the shutdown now threatening to bleed into November, economists estimated each additional week of closure could shave 0.1 to 0.2 percentage points of quarterly GDP growth. The stallments not only disrupt federal workers and services, but also cast a shadow over global markets that depends on U.S. economic transparency and data flow. The Parliamentary Rapid Support Forces RSF has taken full control of the city of Al-Fasher in North Darfur, marking a major turning point in Sudan's conflict and triggering mounting international alarm over massive abuse against civilians. On 27 to 28 October 2025, reports emerged that the city, under siege for over 17 months, fell after the army's withdrawal and was followed by multiple credible allegations of summary execution and systematic killing. The United Nations Human Rights Office disclosed it was receiving appalling reports of summary execution, house by house, raid and ethics targeting, violence by the RSF in the aftermath of the takeover. Analysts from Yale University Humanitarian Research Lab used satellite imagery to identify what appears to be bodies on the ground and large areas of blood-stained earth. Indicators of mass killing occurred in neighborhoods of Al-Fasher. Strategically, Al-Fasher gives the RSF dominance over all 5 Darfur state capitals, effectively splitting Sudan into zones of power between the RSF in the west and the regular army elsewhere. According to Reuters, the fall of Al-Fasher could cement the de facto division of the country and free RSF forces from operation outside Darfur. Humanitarian conditions in the city were already there before the takeover. Prolonged siege, blockage of aid, and heavy fighting had displaced hundreds of thousands. With community blackouts and restriction access for aid workers following the takeover, the risk of famine, mass displacement, and unverified death is acute. The UN and regional states have called for immediate access, safe corridors, and ceasefire implementation. The international community is now under pressure to act. Countries such as Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey condemns the horrific violation in Al-Fasher and urge the RSF to allow humanitarian access and protect civilians. The RSF has not publicly addressed this accusation, with the war in Sudan entering what many describe as a new phase of territorial partition and escalating atrocity risk. The capture of Al-Fasher will likely be seen as a defining moment in the crisis. The United States Africa Command, Africom, has confirmed carrying out a new round of precision strike targeting ISIS-linked and Al-Shabaab militants in Somalia between October 26 and 27, 2025. In coordination with the Somalia National Army, the operation, according to U.S. defense officials, were aimed at disrupting the logistical and command network of extremist groups operating in the country's central and southern region. A statement from Africom described the airstrike as measured and deliberate, emphasizing that they were conducted in areas known to host militant training facilities and staging camps. The strike reportedly neutralized several key targets affiliated with ISIS, Somalia, and Al-Shabaab, though the command has yet to disclose exact casualty figures pending assessment. U.S. military officials stressed that the operations align with the ongoing partnership between Washington, D.C. and Mogadishu to strengthen Somalia's counterterrorism capacity, regional stability, and to ensuring that ISIS elements cannot establish safe havens in East Africa. The Somali Ministry of Defense also confirmed joint coordination and surveillance efforts leading up to the strike. These actions are part of our continuous support to the Somalia government's fight against terrorism, Africom said in its statement. We remain committed to degrading Al-Shabaab's ability to threaten regional stability and to ensure that ISIS elements cannot establish safe havens in East Africa. The Somalia Ministry of Defense also confirmed joint coordination and surveillance efforts leading to the strikes, noting that several insurgent cells were identified tracked before engagement. Security analysts note that the renewed offensive underscore both opportunity and challenges. While the strike can degrade militant leadership and limit the capacity for immense attack, they do not eliminate the root cause that allows extremist groups to regenerate. Experts argue that long-term stability in Somalia depends on sustained progress in governance, political reconciliation, and economic inclusion, all factors that limit extremist recruitment. Human rights organizations have urged transparency in post-strike assessment, calling on Africom to maintain open reporting on potential civilian harm. The command, in response, reiterates its policy of reviewing all credible allegations and publishing summaries of investigation outcomes. As Somalia continues in its delicate transition towards full federal control, the latest strike serves as a reminder that military pressure remains only one piece of the country's broader scrutiny puzzle. This has been the Papyrus TV Africa.